Hey, there's some some of the most beautiful ways that light has a way to communicate throughout a grid, right? It's how, when I started putting these up, I normally don't do this. I don't put myself on a selfie and a camera because I'm normally busy doing other things in nature, experiencing that camera, that mirror. Okay, dimmer mirrors. And that's the truth of it. Okay, I'd rather be out in the ocean right now, swimming with mama in spirit. Where all those waves are in California. That's why I first jumped in the ocean in spirit. So there's a big spirit of fire in me, big ass spirit of fire in me. It's like the orgasm, it's like the seed orgasm of the entire creation just wants to go off like a biggest drip torch there is, right? To be with goddess energy. So you want to be consumed by goddess energy. Fuck yes, of course. Okay. So that's what's happening. Okay, so you know that purifiers know how to wake a goddess up. I've been doing that since I was a little boy. So this is just communicating what I experience, what I share that others can learn from. Because at the end of the day, even when I was a little child, my father or anybody else can communicate, including a bird, a tree, whatever is there, right? Okay, so now I'm learning what it is, what it's communicating to me. So now all the other communicators are communicating to me in my mirror. But I am what love is. So they all know what my communication is because they can experience your energy. That's a communication. Your energy is communication. Energy communications, your vibration, your vibes. Right? So I was just, what prompted to do this is things I experienced that are painful. And so when you realize that the planet's like a triage zone, right? And I'm on the big island. Okay. So it's not like I'm unfamiliar with the territory with the cartels and the drugs because I grew up with all that stuff. Remember, I had to experience all this stuff. I'm not going to be any good to a drug addict if I can't talk to a drug addict because I've been where they've been. So I had to navigate through that. So if you're the one, you can't be in any fear whatsoever to experience what everybody else experiences. Because I was experiencing that when I was 9 years old, when I experienced the lives of Bob voltage and another being 10 feet away, and it shook me up really bad because that's how hypersensitive you are to everything that's alive and living in nature. So that means your radio set is finely tuned. Anything that is not out of harmony. That's a real musician. Something happened to the music. That's what it is. So there's a spirit in that music. So, spirit, it began with a fucking spirit of fire, but there's water signs, right? So imagine you're all the water signs. All the water signs apply, right? All the signs apply. Fire sign, yeah. Living spirit in everything and energy. So when I was just in the kitchen, I'm reminded because I am on the big island because of how many crack users there are on this island, right? And there's 1, 2, 3 in this house. Okay, so I'm high energy. They're low energy. And now another one showed up. And he's even lower than that. Okay. So you know how it is. I don't want to be around that energy, right? But you don't even fear that energy. You just don't want to be with that energy because you realize what they're doing to themselves. They're using their own nuclear reactor to blow holes in their own energy field. What is the matter with them? That's a mass casualty zone. This island is a mass casualty zone. Big Island is but they're all over the place, right? Some are better than others. And you can experience that when you go through the energy field. You're experiencing the waves, your signal antennas picking it up. Any loss or gain, right? And so it feels like density. And you can test that. I do that by how many times I poop in a day. How dense it is, how more expansion, things move faster through your energy field, right? From input, output. Running your software antenna that way. See, so when I was experiencing them, when I got through to the young man who I believe he mentioned that he was Filipino, Portuguese. He had 4 different types, breeding, interchanges, intersections with other breeds, just like horses, everything. Seed data, seed transfer, code transfers, right? But what you experience is the energy as a result of what they've experienced, of what they're learning through their mirror. So when they realize that they're in a battlefield, a spiritual battlefield, and if they have a soul left and a spirit left that's guiding them, right? He acknowledged yesterday what a demon is, okay, and that this is spiritual warfare, which is energy warfare with spirits. So he knows that. That means his spiritual mind is still working. So he knows that. So he knows it's all about energy, because when I told him, well, I'm high energy, and he acknowledges, that's right, you're higher energy. So you share the truth, which is, I know, because I've battled a demon. I've had to kick one out of my space. They know what that means. So when you're talking, when somebody who is in the light, who has a badass spirit of fire in them, because they have so much passion, so much compassion, it's intensity, it's intense energy, because you're so sensitive to everything. So you're picking up your sponge, you're picking up on everything. So those are major transmuters. You got to burn all that. I call it goo. It's gooey. Lay and I would call it gooey stuff, sticky. Get it off you. Burn that shit off. Psst. Stick it in the fire. Calcify the fuck out of that. Put it in a furnace. Get rid of it. Because what you're measuring is the value of that energy. Okay? Because that's the experience of it, a frequency, if you will. Energy that you do not like. Get that energy out of here. So we're talking about people that are purifying their mirrors, which is the purifying their spirit. And it's the spirit of fire that does that. Right? Fire, just burn it off. So fire is always the answer to getting rid of, discarding things that you want to get rid of out of memory. You burn it off. Implode the fuck out of it. It's fire, man. Just burn it off. And you know why fire is the most effective means to do it? Is to go give passionate love to something else that you're in love with, that you have so much energy to give away, and just start giving it away to more stuff that's out there, particularly in nature. And dance and sing and celebrate with life and living spirit with all the other living spirits, and all the living spirits will come out there. I'm thinking about the waves that just hit along the West Coast. Wow, I wished I was there to be out on those waves. I grew up going in that water, man. That's good charge stuff. And then, and then naturally, there's somebody that puts in the comments something negative, but it could be very real. When he talked about, but all the shit that comes out of the Truman Show with all this rain ends up out in the ocean where you're now surfing. Well, that's just like turds that have been reported out here in Hilo because the wastewater treatment system doesn't work properly to do that. So now you're back into the recycle bin, the recycling center, right, in pH on the planet. So you know what dirty electricity is, right? So that's why they're in tennis. I was going to do something just to share what I've learned since I was a child about how their military mind operates. From the top on down, all their intelligence agencies and everything. It's nothing more than a network. It's like a bunch of circuits that's decided to connect with other circuits. Now they have a network going upon which they use that in all their cubicles and everything else, and then store all this data and then use that as the means, that's their surveillance means, see? Their minds are held captive to that mentality, to that world. That's their world. Okay? That's all. That is all born out of fear-based. That's not born out of love-based. Because love is the absence of a need to surveil anything. Because there isn't anything there to surveil other than what you're creating with the amount of love you're on fire with to create something. That's what you experience. You don't experience that. That's their world. That's the one their mind lives in. See, one of the beauties about experiencing what love is, it goes on forever. You really do have free will. That key is given to you when you are what that is, when you're on fire to be what love is. And those are the realms you want to live in, because you're bringing high energy in there. So this young man acknowledges yesterday the spirit of fire, which basically means you're going to burn that thing out of there. Right? Get it back up. Get that fire lit. Get that fire lit. Right? And so that's how I lit myself on fire. And I know how to do that. I know how to do that in many different ways. But I do it with goddess energy because I have so much of that energy in me, which is like the male side, right? That just doesn't ever want to be separated from the flower and will do whatever I have to do in fire to make sure that that never happens so that I'm giving love forever. And it happens. The atoms, the souls that experience that in you, born of fire. You get all my fire. And you come together with all that fire. And that's an oversoul. So that's a lot of fire that comes together. So that makes it so that your ability to purify light, you are purified light. That's what happens. Because the purest of light is always going to be the purest of unconditional love. And it means that the creative side of how that works just become one. It's on fire to create, and therefore the fire is the one that's the paintbrush, the music. And all I can say just from experience, because it's true, is that a female, because I know what it's like to be a female because I'm androgynous, okay? So I'm both. It's just being one is all it is. When you're experiencing another engine, but she's in a female avatar that is a powerful battery, a powerful engine in spirit, because you can feel her energy. She's a very powerful spirit. So obviously she's a mother. So she has an enormous amount of wisdom because she's as pure as it gets. So when you have a female that's as pure as it gets, she's on fire and you're on fire to be with her and you choose to never be separated from that ever, and you come together, then that's what you become. You become love forever. And that's the truth of it. So when you're on a battlefield like this, you have to be more powerful in spirit, which is more powerful in the light. So you come loaded with a big ass furnace. That's the spirit of fire. But they use that spirit of fire against us. All the spirit, they weaponize everything. So that's the inverted side of things. We don't live in their worlds. They don't live in our worlds. And the reason for that is because they're not there yet. And that's what's really so painful. Because it means, just as my good friend in London, we know these things. They can't comprehend it. Because they have no frame of reference in their memory or even in their own imagination other than using logic. So the logic side they can't deny, just like Aaron up here operates primarily on the AI side of things because he wanted to be chipped, so he was. So he has difficulty even trying to contemplate, let alone experience, and thus understand through experience what he learns with emotions. Remember, this is the guy that hated his mother or hates his mother. Okay, so that's the female side, which means he came out of her and hates her. Okay, so you can